Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining for today's session. We will wait for next 2 minutes and then we will start the session so that the more people can join in. Okay. Meanwhile, any one of you can just confirm that I am audible or not. If there is any glitch or anything like that, you can just update me. So Miss Krish Lal, there is no update as of now. We will get you updated soon about that. Thanks. Okay. So good evening everyone, sorry. So we'll start the session. So thanks for joining everyone. So today's session is about mountaineering. Today's topic is very interesting and is a very trending topic, seeing the seasonality if you say. So today's topic is about monsoon trekking in mountains. We will cover different topics like what the attire we need to carry, how we can set up the camps, etc. Different topics we will cover about mountaineering today. So today's session is with Mid-Earth, actually with So and if I talk about Mid-Earth, so basically this is an eco tour company which is from 7 years they are into this ecotourism, and just a minute. So today's session is with Nihar actually, guys. So if I talk about Nihar, I'll just like to give you the small introduction about Nihar basically. So Nihar is a hardcore trekker. He has been trekking for almost every weekend since last year, and he will soon complete his 100 forts in Sahyadris also, and he has good experience in Sahyadris and Himalayas. He has almost 10 years of experience, and his speciality about mountaineering is navigation, route searching and reconnaissance. So this is about Nihar, and he belongs to the company called Eco Tour Company, which is Mid-Earth, which is operational from past 7 years, and they are doing really good. So I think Nihar is here. He will just join with. Hello Nihar, hi.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, Nihar, you're audible. I was just giving your introduction to our fellow audience.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, you can also introduce yourself as you're the special guest today.
Well, I'm an engineer, so most people who are into trekking are engineer who I come across here in Sahyadris. So mostly we get lot of time when we are doing engineering. So in that 4 years, people usually get into trekking, that is one thing which I have noticed. So apart from that, I have my own business right now. So I'm associated with Mid-Earth, and I've been the Pune coordinator for last 5 years. So right now I'm not the Pune coordinator, but I'm associated with them. So I do take the outings which are there on weekends.
Yeah, recently also you posted you were there somewhere on the forts.
Oh yeah, I just went to Siaghad. So I know it's lockdown right now, but still you can go to Siaghad. So if anyone from Pune wants to go, you can, but just avoid going on weekends.
Yeah. So Nihar, today's session, as you must be knowing, that is about monsoon trekking in mountains. So the flow of a session would be very simple. We will start with the Q&A. Meanwhile, if any of our audience would like to address any question, they can drop it down in the comment section. I'll be, asking that question from you, and then we will have a thanking note, and then we will end the session. So it's a basic Q&A session, like a D-Talk you can say, where we will be covering different topic about monsoon trekking in mountains. So first questions which I got from my community members, basically Nihar, is actually what exactly a major difference, if I say, between monsoon trekking and a summer trekking?
Well, obviously the first difference is the season. It is in monsoon, and second it's in summer. Then apart from that, if you ask me, then level wise, personally, I don't think there is much of a difference. But in monsoon, probably you don't need much water to carry. But probably in summer, you have to carry like 4 or 5 liters of water, depending on how many days you are trekking or the availability. In monsoon, that is not the case. Then apart from that, um, in in monsoon it gets really slippery, so there is moss all over the place, and you can fall literally by like if you are standing on the moss and you just happen to if you are not balanced, then you can fall easily. So in summer there is no issue, you can uh, run here and there, and it's the case. So
So it's more like a seasonality which you want to consider. I think there's some network issue. Just a minute, guys. Yeah,
hello.
sorry, I think we lost you because yeah. Hello, Nihar. I think there's some
Yeah.
connectivity issue, Nihar. Yeah,
Yeah, I solved it.
yeah. So
Okay.
basically,
So,
basically, seasonality you want to consider main aspect, and then the rains and the slippery part you want to consider mainly.
yeah. And apart from that, the
Perfect.
staying part. So, if you want to go and stay on a fort, it's not very easy to do in monsoon. So, probably you have to stay in a tent. Like in summers, we directly go there, put a mat and sleeping bag, and directly sleep on the fort.
And yeah,
So
simply.
that, yeah. So that we cannot do in monsoon. So these are a few differentiation, I can say. Nothing much apart from that. And the scenery, obviously, it's completely brown in summers, and it's totally green in monsoon.
Yeah, it's a green, like a proper beautiful scenery you get, especially when you go to
Yeah,
Sayadris and all in the
yeah,
monsoon. That I completely
yeah,
agree.
right.
We have a beautiful Maharashtra altogether in monsoon.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
Nihal, so before moving to the next question, I'd like our audience, if they have any of the question which they want to ask, seeing the today's topic and which they have in their mind, or any myth what they have, or anything which they want to clear with Nihir, they can just drop it on the comment section. I'll be addressing that. So, moving to the next
Sure.
question, I have basically is the do's and don'ts of monsoon trekking. So, basically, for every trekking, every
Mm-hmm.
seasonality, there are something which we need to consider. So, what are the basic do's
Yeah.
and don'ts which we can consider in monsoon trekking?
Yeah, so I will first talk about the do's. So you must consider going in groups, first of all. So in
Hmm.
monsoon, it becomes a bit riskier than I can say in summer. So if you fall or something happens, then somebody should know that uh, where you are exactly, and that is one thing. Then apart from that, you can probably research about the route where you are going. So for so many years, I've been taking the groups from Middle. So what I've noticed is people directly come for a trek without even researching. Like for example, let's talk about K2S. So Katras to Siahgad. So have you heard about this trek?
Yeah,
So it's a
audible.
yeah. So it's a hard trek in Pune. It's about 16 kilometers, which consists of around 15 hills. So it's quite a famous trek in Pune, but it is not really easy. So beginners directly come out for this trek because they know just the name K2S. That's it. So they don't research about it, and we have to send them back from the first hill. It's so hard, I would say. So this is one thing.
So mostly like when we
Mhm.
go for any monsoon trek is very important for us to research. And I believe
Yeah,
it's just not with the monsoon trek. If you go for any trek, it's very important to have a basic
yeah,
knowledge about the terrain.
Hmm.
How,
yeah.
because then only you can plan about the trek. Otherwise, it will be a big problem for you.
Yeah, right. And also, if you're able to do that trek. Like there are few hard treks in Sahyadris, which are Alang, Madan, AMK, then few others, like even in Himalayas. So there are
Hmm.
super easy, medium, and then hard. So you should know what is your capacity, and you should select the trek according to that. So apart from that, you should carry food which gives you quick energy, and also food which gives you long and sustaining energy. So
Hmm.
yeah,
So
Mihir is asking. I
yeah,
will
Amir is
talk
asking
about that
creative is sending
later.
people back.
Yeah,
We can cover it afterwards, Mir. First, we
yeah,
can
sure.
finish this question.
So the food which will give you long and sustaining energy is dry fruits. So they are the best option which you can have, and the cheapest one. Then quick energy, you can say maybe Gatorade or some energy drinks, or just carry an electrol sachet and mix it and drink it. That will give you quick energy. So then you should invest in really good shoes and trekking gear, or at least decent enough. So you should know the technicalities, and you should have at least a rubber sole, not acrylic. Energy bar is also a good source of that, but I would say they are a bit costlier, and if you want, definitely you can go for it. But dry fruits is the cheapest option, I would say.
Uh, thanks for
Yes.
addressing it, Niyar. I completely agree to
Yeah.
you on this point because it's very important to have the
Mhm.
food which give you intense energy because when you
Mhm.
trek, so many times it happens people don't are not into a proper mountaineering, but they love the nature, they love the terrain like me. So they just
Mhm.
thought, okay, we should go to that place. And when you go over there, you feel restless. So it's very important to carry a food which give you intense energy.
Yeah.
So agree to you on this point. So the next question which I would like to cover is about the don'ts. So we cover the do's, what we need to
Hmm.
do. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we can cover the don'ts, which
Yeah.
yeah.
So you should avoid carrying too much of weight. So I've seen people carrying 60 liters and 80 liters of haversacks in Sahyadris, and they literally have uh, like uh, anything in there, like a whole roll of tissue paper and plates, a whole packet of spoons and whatnot. Just don't ask. So a 30-liter backpack, or probably a 20-liter even, I would say, that is more than enough. And depending if you are camping, then 30, and if you are just going for a one day hike like Siagat or something, then
Then
10
10,
liters is
15
also,
liter.
yeah, 10,
Ah, is
15 is
enough.
also enough. So
So
yeah, that is one thing.
I'll just like to give you experience of mine for this.
Yeah.
So last to last year, we organized one trek for my college fellows, and we
Okay.
went to Prabhalgarh. And I've seen people carrying 30, 40 liters for just for one night. And I was
Yeah.
like, what do you guys have got? So they got the speakers, like everything what they can.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty bit difficult for them to climb the mountain because when
Yeah.
you climb the mountain, the weight of your back comes.
Mhm.
So that's a big problem. So this is
Right.
very important to carry less weight essentials, we can say.
Yeah, and it depends. Like if you are going camping for 1 or 2 days, then obviously you will be having more weight. But for Vikatgarh and Peb, or the regular one-day treks, 20 liter or 25, 30 liter is more than enough. But from that, yeah, as you
So
said, speakers. So you shouldn't uh, carry speakers and like do noise pollution out there in the wild, and you shouldn't
exactly,
be wearing shorts and jeans. These are the don'ts. So
yeah,
they, like having a good full pant, like personally I use the pants from Decathlon from Keshwa. So the in mainly, let's say, about monsoon, so there are lots of bushes around. So the pant should be as such which will resist the abrasion. So like when I started with cotton pants and half pants like that only. So it's not like I started like the perfect condition, but overall, I upgraded myself, and now I carry the exact pants which are dry fit and abrasion resistant.
Uh, I also
And
remember when I
even
started, my first trek
uh,
was in cotton shorts, and it was a
yeah,
big
same.
mistake what I made because
Hmm.
I got all the
Yeah, yeah,
rashes all around. So that happened.
yeah. Even the
Now
small
we
seeds
have
and all get
yeah
caught. Hmm.
yeah exactly. The next question which we were having from Paul, like what exactly shoes we need to carry when we go for a monsoon trek?
Yeah, so you should carry good rubber sole shoes. So the bare minimum which I can directly tell you, they are action trekking. So you will get them for 9.99, and they are, I would say, the best shoes to start with for starters. Then apart from that, I personally use Trek 100 or Trek 500, which are like water repellent and high heels. So it's a personal choice. Over the years, you can upgrade yourself and uh, maybe pay more for the shoes. And obviously, there is lot of yeah,
Sorry, I think there was some
yeah,
problem from my end. Sorry.
right, right. So even if I go out for 4 to 5 days of trekking, these 500, the Trek 100 or 500, they are really comfy and they get the job done. So one thing which you
Amen.
should avoid is hello.
Yeah, I'm audible, right? Sorry, there was some
Yeah,
problem from my.
yeah. Actually, there is some disturbance from your side. I guess some
Just a
wind
minute.
noise
Just
or something. Hmm.
yeah, just a minute.
Hello.
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah, noise proper.
Yeah. Much better.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, and one more thing is avoid sport shoes, running shoes basically. So they are acrylic sole, and acrylic sole is not really good for grip on rocks. So you should really avoid them because you might slip. And in monsoon, it is not really advisable. In summer, at least you can uh, like get like you can use. Can you hear me?
I think there was some network disturbance. Mhm.
Okay.
Now it's audible. Now it's
Well,
better.
okay. So were you able to hear what I said about acrylic shoes?
Yeah.
Acrylic
So
sole shoes?
you were saying the
Hmm.
last. Yeah, the last thing what I was able to hear was about the grip which we did not get on the rocks with the acrylic shoe. After that, we
Yeah.
lost you
So
actually.
okay. So no, I was just saying that with acrylic shoes, you can maybe use them for one-day hikes in summers, but not in winters. So you will barely get any grip in them. So you should be having rubber shoes, rubber sole shoes.
So one thing just which I want to add from my past experience in the mountains is
Mm-hmm.
which I personally felt it depends from person to person as well and the trek what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So in monsoon, if you carry a waterproof shoe, if you can invest in waterproof shoe, is really good because.
Yeah,
And secondly, if you can carry a high ankle shoe, it will give you the protection as well, and it will help you from
mm.
insects, leeches, what we get in
Yeah,
the terrain when we especially go in the mountains.
right,
So that I would like to add on this point.
right, right.
Now, again, another question which we
Mm.
have from our audience is like, it's very interesting question because this was there in my
Mm.
mind also when I started initially mountaineering.
Yeah.
Influencer wants to know actually that how does I know if we are ready for a moderate or difficult trek? What is the daily routine exercise one should take care if willing to upgrade the levels?
Uh, well, for everyday routine, maybe you can join a gym. 45 minutes to 1 hour is more than enough, and that is specifically for strength training. And for stamina building, you can probably go to ARI or Terzai, some anywhere. Like if you want to run on road, then you can obviously run on the road, but for endurance training you should do running. And maybe 5 kilometer is more than enough, I would say, and that too twice in week. It is more than enough. Like you can, with this probably you can do a lot of hard treks in Sahyadris or Himalayas. That will be more than enough. And maybe just before the trek, like 1 or 2 months, you can probably increase the frequency of your running. So that's it. Like nothing nothing else
So
you
these
need
all
to do.
answers comes when you are a properly experienced person and you practice that.
Yeah. So right now I'm
So very.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Tell me, yeah, tell me.
Yeah, so right now I'll be going for an expedition to Deotibba Peak in June.
Oh,
So right now I've increased the intensity. Like I work out twice in a day, and also go for running maybe 3 or 4 times in a week.
great. That's great. Because it's very important to be physically fit and then mentally fit as well if you go for any trek. Because I've seen a lot of people, I've seen a lot of fellow mountaineers when they go for a trek, they're very excited, but they don't focus on these small points. And when they go, they really feel bit difficulty over there with the strength, what
Yeah.
you say, because you have to carry their own backpack. You need to go, you need to walk, a lot of physical activities, different things are there. So
Yes.
completely
Right.
agree to you on this point here for this. And there was one more question, which was that I think. So there is one more question from Anish Joshi. He is saying suggestions regarding how to start for beginners. So some suggestion which you can give for basically for the complete beginners for trekking who are just starting.
No, I would just say that just go out there, like start with Siaghad if you are in Pune, and if not, maybe Mumbai side treks which are there, like in Karjat or maybe in Lonavala, like Visapur, Lohgarh.
Karjat,
Just get,
Matheran, lot
yeah.
of.
So, so for beginners, just get into the experience and have a feel, like if you really like it. And then if you start liking it, then obviously on your own you will start doing things which like which will help you to increase your stamina and all the stuff like that. So
Yeah, Mihir also commented, "Hi uncle for the wind all season." I completely
yeah,
agree to you, Mihir, on this point.
yeah,
And I can comment on this, Neha. So I would like to just say, because when we go to the mountains, I don't think hardly anyone would be there who will not love the mountains.
yeah,
Because
right.
mountain is such a place, no, if you go there, for sure you will love the place and you will wish
Yes,
to
yes,
continue
yes.
and you will wish to come again and again over
Right.
there.
Hey, and one more thing for beginners, actually, just avoid doing directly a hard trek like K2S or maybe AMK
Yeah,
or directly Kalsubai. So what I've seen is like the people who directly join for a hard trek the first time in their life, they tend to leave trekking. So we have had such participants. They were like कि अभी हम तो आएंगे ही नहीं ट्रैक पे, ये बहुत हो गया. So obviously they did not do their research and also like they were not really happy. They were really exhausted. So you
this
should
this happened. This
hmm,
happened.
yeah,
This happened. So next question, which I like to cover, is the best five mountain monsoon trek in Himalayas, which you like to mention.
yeah. So actually there are like numerous treks in Himalayas. Like picking up best five is really difficult, but let's start
So
with the
so just
first
just
thing.
uh,
Huh.
just the sorry to interrupt in between, but just the reason why I added this question into this list, because I've seen people when we talk about Himalayas, they only think of snow, winter trek. Many people are not aware that
Okay.
there are monsoon treks as well.
Yeah, right. Get the point. So, well, these three I have led myself. So, which are Hamta Pass, Biaskund, and Markha Valley. So, I know how
Yeah.
beautiful they are. Hamta Pass and Biaskund, they are in Manali, in Himachal, and Markha Valley is in Leh Ladakh. So, the terrain is completely different. and these are the treks which we usually do in monsoon. So these are three, and then apart from that, there is one trek which is not that much famous, I would say, which we are organizing this June and July. So which is Tarsar Marsar. So it is in Kashmir, and it is a great substitute for Kashmir Great Lakes. So as you know, Kashmir Great Lakes is really famous, and you might find a lot of people on that route. But this is something offbeat which you can do this year and maybe experience fewer people on this route. And then there is
So
one more trek.
anyone who would be interested can join you guys.
Yeah, definitely. And there is one more
Good.
old classic which is Valley of Flowers. Anyone can do that. It is really easy, and
Yeah,
it
yellow
is called,
flowers.
yeah. So it is also called as Khas of Himalayas. So you will get to know. You just search for that on Google. You will get really good photos. And
And
it's
it's
really beautiful.
pretty beautiful as well. Very beautiful,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah, yeah.
the terrain, the yellow flowers, what you see over there is something completely different.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so the most important question when we come to the monsoon trek is how to be
Right.
safe from leeches and insects, because this is a big problem when you go
Yeah.
to the monsoon treks.
Right. So I will say that here in Sahyadris, leeches are not found everywhere. Like I have seen
Mm.
them sometimes, and it depends. Like so, you must be carrying some salt with you. It is the basic and the most efficient thing which you can carry for leeches. So first of all, you don't get to know when they bite, and like when they grow in size, you can just feel them, and then you get to know, like, okay, I have been bitten by a leech. And if you don't have really anything, then just pinch them and remove them, and that won't do. Like that is fine. But obviously, if you have salt, they will leave you on their own. So that is one thing. And I have heard that deodorants work good on leeches. So I haven't
I've
tried it
experienced
myself.
it. It
Huh.
not work really well, I would say. It just okay, like you know, it's just
Yeah.
okay. But like personally, I have not tried it. One of my friend told me
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah. That's
That
what.
is just okay, not very good effective. How salt
Right.
is.
Salt I have tried. I have tried it in Amboli. When I was
Oh,
there. So in Amboli, there are just like you can't just stay on one place. Even if you are staying there, you just have to keep marching, or else leeches will get onto you. It's that bad.
yeah. So there are some loopholes, you know, when to go to the mountains. But again, the
Yeah.
terrain,
Right.
the challenge, what you feel over there is
Mhm.
something very different. So it's not something we need to be afraid
Right.
of. It's a forest, so you will get all these things.
Yeah.
And I've
That's
heard
right.
people carrying Odomos also for the insects and all. So you can carry that as
Yeah.
well for the insects.
For mosquito anyway, you need it if you are doing
Yeah.
camping or something. In at the night, you will definitely need it.
Okay,
So,
so the next question is about the myth, what we heard about the monsoon trek. Because
hmm,
when we say monsoon, like how I
yeah,
told you about the Himalayan treks, many people think,
yeah.
okay, just Himalayan means snow.
Hmm,
So
hmm, hmm,
there's
hmm.
some myth for monsoon trek as well. So I'll just like you
Yeah.
to, you know, address that for our audience.
Yeah, sure. So first is safety. Many parents are quite skeptical when it comes to it comes down to monsoon treks. So a lot of people usually don't allow their children to go on monsoon trek. So so that is one thing. So it is totally safe if you go with proper people, or if you have proper knowledge, then nothing is risky, I would say. Then again, as we talk about, which is leeches and mosquitoes. So people think that there are leeches and mosquitoes everywhere. It's not really true. So uh, it, some like you should be knowing. Like that's what I said. Like if you study about the place and exactly know, like if there are a lot of articles, blogs, and everything on the net, you will get to know if there are leeches or mosquito problem particularly at that place. So accordingly, you can carry maybe salt or Odomos or something else. So that is one thing. Then people usually get skeptical that their bags and clothes might get dirty and they will have to replace. Nothing such will happen. It's like usually I would say like monsoon is good for washing the bag. So all over the year there is no need to wash the bag directly. When in monsoon for 3 months it gets totally washed up and clean, and then again after 9 months it will get clean in the next monsoon.
Yeah, I agree to you on this point because when we go into the mountains,
Yeah.
hardly we get any time, to
Yeah.
clean our bags, clean our shoes,
Right.
and all these things.
Yeah, that's what.
So
And then
agreed to you on this point.
right. And there is one more thing. People think that it rains all the time in monsoon. So it's not really true. Even in Himalayas, um, there are specific timings, or if you just follow the forecast, you will get to know when it will rain. And it probably rains for, let's say, max to max 2 hours, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So for that, you should be prepared. And apart from that, like it like hardly there is a day where it rains the whole day or the whole trekking session. So that is one myth which I have came across.
Yeah, agree to you on this point. There are some more,
Hmm.
but I think this would be, enough.
Yeah.
Because many people think, as you said, that safety is a big concern. I agree to you because sometimes, the rocks become very slippery.
Yeah.
But if you carry a correct attire, if you carry a correct
Hmm.
people with you,
Yeah.
who knows about the terrain, who knows about the mountain, I don't think it would be a big problem. Then one myth which I came across recently was people saying that when you go into the mountains, the trails change completely because some places you get the plants and also it's very difficult to
Right.
recognize. So that is
Uh,
also one myth which
yeah.
people have.
Right. It does get changed a bit, but not like uh, it will like not a
Drastically.
great, yeah, drastically. Like
That's what.
that is one thing.
Yeah, thanks, Sneha, for answering that. So the
Yes,
next
welcome.
question which we have is like as you are an experienced mountaineer, and we are here to hear you,
Mhm.
about your experience. So it's actually a personal question, like how
Mhm.
mountaineering came to your path. Like, for example, there are
Mhm.
people passionate for something, but as you
Yeah.
said, you were the engineering student, so engineering student to the mountains. How did this happen?
Well, actually, uh, well, let's talk about trekking first. Like when I started trekking, the actual goal for that was fitness. So
Okay.
actually in school I was really fat. I can say that. So post my 10th standard, I wanted to get fitter and leaner, you can say. So with that, I started my trekking journey, and then I started loving it, and obviously it became my passion. And um like you, if you ask any of my batchmates, let it be the junior college or the senior college, which is this engineering. So on every weekend, or let it be what we have these events which we have in colleges. So that time we basically have a holiday for 2 or 3 days. So I never attended a single event. I usually go on a trek at that time. So I considered it as a holiday.
Okay, that is interesting
So,
actually.
so this is how
So
I
this
came
happened,
into
when you're
trekking.
passionate for something, then
Right,
this happens. So this obvious.
right.
So okay, so like from the motivation of losing weight, so this
Yeah,
through this year mountaineering was introduced to you,
right,
and you're
right, right.
now loving the mountains. That's very beautiful actually. Okay, so now the next question which I like to
Mhm.
shoot up is the five best advice which you like to give to our audience about the monsoon trek.
Yeah. So these are actually pretty obvious advices, I would say, but few people may not know about them. So first is wear waterproof or water resilient repellent shoes. Then rubber sole, not acrylic. So
Yeah,
that's what
important.
we talked about. Yeah. Then carry gear like mosquito repellent and for salt for leeches. So depending on the situation and what trek you are going, then last two things are a bit from my experience, I would say that in monsoon you cannot really cook food outside, so you
Hmm.
cannot make a fire or something. So for that, you can actually carry packed food from your home. For example, some parothes and something like that. So which will be better, or maybe sandwiches, which will last and be good over there. Then one more important thing, which is water purification. So in monsoon,
Yeah.
so yeah, so you should have something for water purification if you are going some to some unknown place. So for that you can carry some chlorine, iodine, or alum, which is aluminum sulfate. So any one of these three can do the job. So if you are not sure about the water, if it's muddy or something, just add one, two drops of this and you will be okay to go.
Oh, this I was not knowing exactly about, like, because I haven't been
Yeah.
come across to this situation, because
Right.
it's like, you just go, you see the river flowing and you just fill the water
Right.
from there. You see
No, it
the
is
waterfall happening, you fill the water from there. So it's
right.
that way.
No,
But
I
this
will
was
tell you
quite
the reason actually.
informative.
I will tell you the reason actually. See, I would say maybe 90% of the time you will get away with directly drinking water from river, but it
Yeah, that's
it
how will
happen.
happen.
Yeah, but it happens lot of time that some, let it be a cow or a mice, let it be anything, like something might have died at the source of that river.
Hmm.
So it can contain contaminants and you can get severely ill from that. So you should know which water you are drinking.
Agree
So
to you.
yeah, so if you are going to forts or somewhere, then at the base village you can directly take borrow water from the local villagers. So that is fine. That is totally safe. But if you are going out from for some range treks or somewhere where you don't really know where the water source is, and if you are going to drink something from a river or something, then you should be having these tablets or iodine or something.
I'll add this to my list next time,
Yeah,
because this
sure.
was a very valid point. This was a very valid
Right.
point and well explained why we need to carry
Mhm.
this.
Right.
So that's what I said. Always it comes from the experience when you go to the mountains. The more
Right.
experience you have, the more proper guidance you can give.
Right.
So very beautifully explained. So next question is actually a personal favorite question of mine, and I was also having a curiosity to know more about this.
Mhm.
So when we go to any, trekking or
Mhm.
any hiking in monsoons, especially, we face a lot of difficulty, in setting up our camp, because as you
Yeah.
know, it's very difficult to get a proper wood to cook your
Hmm.
food. Second, the dry, what we say, the land.
Mhm.
So any tip which you have, which you would like to give to me, to our audience, which we can think of and which you can follow for setting up our camps, especially in monsoons.
Yeah. So first of all, you only have two options in monsoon. So the first one is the easier one, and second one is the harder one. So the first option is directly go like approach someone in some village and ask them if they can let you stay there for the night. And people in
That,
Maharashtra are really friendly from my experience. Or even you can stay in a temple which is out there. So there are numerous temples which you will find in Maharashtra in Sayadris.
hmm,
So you can just go inside the temple and stay there. You should be knowing the condition of the temple in the first place. So for that you can Google it or directly ask someone in the village or something. So this is the easy route. So like you don't need to carry much, like you don't need to carry a tent for this. Then the second one is camping in a tent. So this is the harder route, I would say. So for this you should be knowing a few things. So yeah, as Mihir said, caves. We do stay in caves in Sayadris. On Rajmachi, we have caves where we stay. Then apart from that, there are n there are n number of caves in Sayadris on forts mainly. So not exactly the caveman caves, but the caves which are maybe they were the like storerooms, or maybe the rooms which they used to like used to use in Shivaji period, like that. So
Yeah, a lot of monuments and a lot of abandoned
right,
buildings we
right,
come
right.
across. But just to add a very important and safety point to this,
Mm-hmm.
because I remember one of my friend is into a lot of into trekking and mountaineering.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me the suggestion that whenever you think of staying in those type of monuments, be
Mm-hmm.
very careful with the condition, like what is the present
Yeah,
condition,
definitely.
because that is very
You
important. That
should,
is very
yeah, yeah, yeah.
important.
Yeah, for that, research is important, I would say. Again, so
Okay, again there is one question from Kaushal. How are you trekking during lockdown?
no, I'm not
The same
trekking
question what
during
I have with
lockdown.
you.
I just went to Siagat, nothing else. Siagat is part of Pune.
Uh, just a joke apart.
Yeah.
Okay, and one more question is actually there from Paul. He's asking how we can get into Andraban trek.
Okay. Well, about Andarban Trek, you will find a lot of info on net. The starting point is Pimpri village. You can just Google it, and from there you directly uh, descend down in the Plus Valley, and from there you reach Bira village. So that is the trek route in short, I can say, and it is about like 15-16 kilometers. It takes about well 5 hours, maybe 5-6 hours, depending on your fitness. So it's really a beautiful trek and completely downhill. So you just have to walk, but it's like 15 kilometers downhill. So that is one famous trek in Sayadris, I would say, which has just a minute.
No worries, no worries. Take your time.
So
It's happened.
yeah,
Yep.
so that's it about Andarban. I mean, you can probably join a group or something because it is a one-way trek, I would say. So the starting point is Pimpri, which is on the top of Tamni Ghat, and the end point is Bhira. So there is no way you can come to collect your bike or car, whatever it is, uh,
Oh,
like that. So it is really hard. So going with a group for specifically for this trek
is
is
a
really advisable.
is a
So
better choice actually.
yeah, or else just get a driver if you have.
That also you can do.
Hmm.
Now, the last question which I like to address for today's session is
Mm-hmm.
about the backpacking, because lot of
Yeah.
difficulty we face when our things become wet, and I've experienced this personally
Mm-hmm.
during my trek to one of near Mathiran.
Yeah.
So we got a rain and all my stuff were wet. From then onwards, I took proper measures. But there would be
Mm-hmm.
some audience over here which would be listening to us, listening to our conversation, who would be the beginners.
Yeah.
So how we can backpack our backpack during a monsoon? So what are the things which
Yeah.
we need to focus on? And this is a very important topic which I personally focus a lot on.
Right. 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 So first of all, let's start with our clothing. So you should be wearing dry fit clothes or quick dry clothes. These are really important. If you wear cotton clothes, they will never get dry uh, when you are wearing them. So it takes really lot of time to uh, dry them. So dry fit clothes are really a good option, I would say. Apart from that, while let's talk about the things which are in your bag. So you need to save them. So for that you can carry heavy duty plastic bags. So वो जो मोटे वाले होते हैं ना plastic bag, and that one. Or else the second option which is out there is a dry bag, a proper
Hmm.
dry bag like which you get in Decathlon, I would say.
Yeah, we
So
also have
something like
that.
that. Yeah. So that is one other option, I would say. Then a back cover is needed. You usually get it with Keshwa bags, but if you don't have it, like you can purchase it anywhere. So back cover will help you like um, protecting everything inside your bag. It is not completely efficient, I would say, because rain will still seep in from the uh,
Yeah,
your back side. So
some drop still goes
yeah,
inside.
yeah,
That's
right.
obvious.
So that's why the heavy duty plastic bag should be also in there. So like it acts as a double safety, I would say. Then a raincoat or a poncho whatever it's suitable for you. So, and if you are going for night trekking, then head torch is actually recommended instead of a normal, and that too IP rating head torch, because we actually have a lot of treks in, like I have led many treks in Sahyadris which were night trek and which were monsoon night treks. So like you obviously you cannot take out your mobile phone when it's raining, so that is one thing. Then apart from that, the normal torch which you have at your home, the water gets inside easily. So I've seen many people like their torches going bad on the night trek. So it's really really horrible.
And worst part, there you don't have a choice to replace. So
Yeah,
you need to be
that's
very careful what you're carrying.
right. So it depends totally. Like if you are into night trekking in monsoon and all, then you can just buy a good, like decent quality, maybe 300-400 rupees head torch, and
Like
that
yeah,
will work
any
wonders.
is available on
Hmm.
Amazon,
Yeah,
Decathlon,
right,
lot
right.
of places is available. So anywhere you
Exactly,
can buy it. It's not a big this thing.
exactly.
There
Yeah,
should
yeah,
be IPX rated because so that you have
yeah.
some assurance
Hmm.
that okay once you're going there
Right,
won't be
right,
a problem.
right.
And there are a lot of people I've seen them when you go to the Sahyadris trek or they go to the monsoon trek in Maharashtra especially. As we are talking
Hmm.
more of the Maharashtra, so I would like to add to this point. So many people think that trekking sticks or trekking poles are not the essentials.
Hmm.
So
Right.
what exactly your views on this on this point?
Yeah. Yeah. So see, scientifically speaking, they do lessen the weight which is on your back by 30% something.
Hmm.
That is the calculation. I'm not really sure, 30 or 40% something. So it
30%
feels
mostly.
like, yeah, 35, yeah, 30, 25 something. It's like that. So apart from that, personally speaking, I don't like to carry trekking poles. I like to build my legs with the heavy weight. So that is my personal choice, nothing else. So but yeah, a trekking pole are really a good option if you are maybe in your late 40s or 50s. That time you might have some knee pain or something, and for that you can, that they will reduce the stress on your knees. So yeah, they are really helpful. And even in Himalayas, while you are walking on snow or ice, like these poles really help you to balance yourself out.
And especially when you have a heavy weights at your back, I
Yeah,
personally felt that when you're heavy, and
right.
especially when you descend from a mountain, this
Hmm.
is like a
Right,
proper perfect. Like you get some
right,
extra hand, it's something
right,
like
right,
that
right.
way.
Actually, what I've seen is once while we are doing,
Sorry.
yeah. So once we were doing K2S, and there was a batch of maybe 10 or 12 people, and they were like 60 plus, I would say, or around 60. So they were carrying wooden sticks with them. So that's why a proper trekking pole is important, which will give you which will be like, which will get inserted in the ground firmly. So if you are carrying a blunt wooden stick, actually one of them got their hand fractured. So they were using this
Hmm.
stick for descending, and the base was really flat. So it slipped, and all the like they just put their hand like between the body and the ground, and it got fractured. So we had to send them back. So this is one of my experience, I would say.
Yeah,
So
agreed to you on this point. So by this, we are ending the session of today's.
yeah,
Nihar, I know there are a lot of when we talk about the mountains, it's a big universe.
right,
But
right, right.
as we have a time constraint, so we can't cover all the aspects. So thank you for being here, for accepting my request and my invitation,
Yes,
and for making it possible today. So
right.
thanks a ton
Most
for
welcome.
being here, yeah, and for addressing our
Thank you,
audience
thank
and
you,
to share your experience and to guide our audience. Thank you so
yes,
much.
thank you, thank you. Yes, see you.
Yep. See you everyone. So we'll see you in next
Chalo.
session. Yep. Thank you so much for being here,
Chalo.
and thanks all the
Bye.
audience for making it today. Bye, Nihar. Bye, Midas. Bye,
Bye
the
bye.
audience. Yep. Thank you so much.